Welcome to Pillar Talk with Rochelle, where authentic people share real stories focusing on one of the 12 pillars in my book, Simply Complex, Leading Out of Authenticity. I am your host, Rochelle Armstrong, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, Kriss Liss.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a beautiful day.
Oh my
I'm loving
God.
it.
It is so beautiful. So are you a fall, autumn type person? Do you have a favorite season?
Absolutely fall.
Because that's mine too.
Like we were talking about off camera, spring for me is like super allergy. Like I get my allergies are terrible in the spring. Summer, my allergies are kind of, they do okay. But in the fall, it's cool. Yeah. But I also don't have the trouble that I have in spring. So it would be spring if it wasn't for allergies. But because of allergies, it's fall.
I love the fall. Yes. But like I was telling you, like for some reason, even in the fall, my sinuses drain really bad. But by far, it is my favorite season. And so what's interesting is in one of my other interviews, we were talking about fall, and I had made the comment that I said, I don't know what that says about me. Cause I was thinking about the leaves starting to fall off the tree. And you think about like in winter, things start to die. And I said, I don't know what that says about me. And I was sharing it with my husband, and he said, but no, fall is also the season of harvest.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So I stand to be corrected. So I'm happy to hear that you're another fall, autumn type person, because it's just a lovely time of the year. So Crystal Gilbert, it is such an honor to have you on the podcast today. And I am super excited. Like
me too.
The conversation.
Yeah.
What I try to do is give the audience a little context about how I know each guest. And so in a previous interview, I had the honor of interviewing Daniel, your boo.
Yes.
And it was super cool. But what was so interesting is when I was doing the introduction or kind of setting context about how we knew one another, I didn't know who you were. Yeah. Like, cause we met, it was like brunch or lunch, whatever time of day it was. And you were absolutely lovely. So such a pretty smile. You just was smiling and so humble. And we were just kind of doing brief introductions, but I didn't know at the time that you all were a couple. And so I'm just careful, because I'm that person that is saying, oh, how many months are you? This person isn't pregnant. And so I not to make a fool out of myself all the time. So
I feel you.
Yes, for those of you who tune in regularly, this is Miss Kriss Liss, and we're going to get into her name shortly, but this is Daniel Nelson's lovely girlfriend.
Yes.
Yes. So I wanted to just kind of share that. And so, Kriss, something I do with each guest is just give our audience a little bit about yourself so they can get to know you better.
Well, again, my name is Crystal Gilbert, but my artist name is Kriss Liss, and I am a recording artist and a music producer. I went to college, got a bachelor's degree in music business from IUS. I do voiceovers for a living, though. Music is kind of like a side hustle to what to what I do. So for a living, yes, I do voiceover work, and I use the voiceover work to finance the music, because music, I was talking about this the other day, music is such a tough business financially to see the return. You have to put in so much investment to see the return back. So I'm still in the putting in investment stage, and I'm using my voiceover income to do that. But yes, so I do voiceovers. This is my home studio. Recently I started a music entertainment company called Holy Bay. And yes, I'm going to put out music through that as a label. I'm going to put some, merch and stuff out. I also have this thing. I don't know if I'm saying too much right now, but I also have a club called the Art Club, and it's for people who are really fans of my music. You can join the Art Club, and it gives you an intimate look into my creative process and exclusive content from me. And I'm also going to be building in some other cool, exclusive, private things just for the people in my Art Club. I really just want to make this special community that I bond with and grow with. So that's me.
I
Oh,
love
and
it.
I can't
Okay, so
I can't
Kriss.
forget to say that all of this is under a Christian umbrella. I love the Lord.
Yes, yes.
I'm a faith. I have faith. I'm a believer, and I try to do everything for His glory. I can't forget to mention that.
I love that about you. And, we've been communicating a little bit, leading up to this interview. And so
Yeah,
one of the things that's really important to me is to
mhm.
connect with you even outside of this interview.
Yeah.
I love your spirit. I think you're absolutely lovely.
Well, thank
And I
you.
want to be a part of the club. Okay.
Yes.
So
Okay.
how, like for me, and then those that they're going to hear your music,
Yeah.
how do we become a part of, you said the club, the art
Yeah.
club?
The art club. The art club. So to be a part of the art club, go to holybae.com, and it's spelled like my sign back here, HOLYBAE, holybae.com/art club. And it's just regular art club, ARTCLUB, holybae.com/art club. And there'll be a sign up button on that page. Just tap the button and put in your information, and you will have access to the art club. By the way, I'm about to drop a single very, very soon. And if you're in the art club, you get the single first before anybody else. So
Wow.
join and you'll get the single.
Okay, so I'm loving this because I did get an opportunity to listen to some of your remixes on
Yeah.
IG. And I'm not a huge social media person, but I
Understood.
got lost in it. Like it was like each video kept playing. And I think I even texted you and was like, okay, I need to get some work done now.
Yeah.
I got to put a stop to this. But like your lyrics, like, cause
Thank
so
you.
I'm a person that really do
Mhm.
like all genres of music, and
Yeah.
and some is for the beat, some is
Mhm.
for like I listen to the lyrics, like because sometimes it just speaks to you, and if you get a good
Yeah.
combination of both, it's like so therapeutic, and I just
Yeah.
absolutely love your style, and so
Thank you.
because of that, I went out to Title, and I just
Mhm.
typed in Kriss Liss, and three
Yeah.
songs came up. And then so I
Yes.
listened to one of them, and it sounded like your voice. And then I sent it to
Mhm.
people, was like, "Is this you?" And
Yep.
you were like, "Yes." And then it was two more
Mhm.
that I kind of listened to a snippet, but I wasn't sure if it
Yes.
was your voice. So
Yes.
confirm or deny
Yes.
all three
All
songs.
three. All
Nice.
three of my voice, all three were produced by me, mixed, mastered, recorded by me. Everything on the track was me.
Share them.
All the
Share the
harmonies.
three because I will mess
Yes.
them up.
Yes. So the three songs, the first one is Glowry. It's spelled Glowry. So Glowry.
Yeah.
And then the second one is called Something Blue. And the
Yeah.
third one is called Pain Pills. So those are my
Pain
three
Pill.
singles that are out. And there's going to be a fourth coming very soon.
Okay, so do this because I really like the title, the cover on
Mhm.
Pain Pills.
Yes.
Talk
Let's talk
about
about
that
it.
a little bit. Tell us a little more
Yeah.
about that song.
Yeah. So Pain Pills, it was not a personal experience, but I drew from other people's experiences that I knew to make the song. And I just felt like at the time that we were in, especially in hip hop culture, because I kind of live in that culture, it was, man, I was seeing a lot of people struggle with anxiety and and use medication to try to supplement or
Yeah.
to you know make light of what they were going through. And so I made this song called Pain Pills, and it's really about trying to find Jesus when you feel like you're alone. That's what the song is about.
Yeah,
And realizing that you're not alone and that Jesus is always there. Um,
absolutely.
and the cover is actually my hand. My mom actually helped me make the cover. We shot this on our bathroom floor. She it's my
Okay.
hand like laid across the bathroom floor like this, and then I've got like a pill bottle coming out, and then I like photoshopped the cap of the pill bottle to say Pain Pills on it, so it had the title in there. But man, the song, I you know what's I was afraid to put that song out because I felt like I wasn't sure if the song was resolute enough, but
Mm,
I felt like the emotions were true enough,
I
you
heard
know?
that. Yes.
And so I put it out, and it is by far the song that everyone says it touched me the deepest. Like that's the
And I
one that
haven't even
touches people.
listened.
Yeah.
And if I be completely honest with you, one of the reasons I haven't listened is I've
Yeah.
lost some loved ones
Yeah.
to that
Yeah.
specific topic, for lack of
Yeah.
a better word, I guess.
Yeah.
And I haven't brought myself up
Oh yeah,
to
I
listen
understand.
yet. And then
Yes.
that's part of it. But then again, out of curiosity, I was wondering if that was you. And I knew that we would be meeting soon and I would get an opportunity to ask more questions about it. And so, yeah, definitely will be checking out all three of the songs.
Thank you.
And just want to continue to encourage you to just do great things. I know one of the interviews that I had listened to that actually made me want to interview you, you did talk about how you could have gotten signed with Kanye West. Now, before we do that, let me just pause. Listeners, today's pillar will be self-acceptance, and we're going to get into it. I am so curious about this young lady and the work that she is doing and her ministry. This is all a part of the conversation. And so we are going to get to self-acceptance. And Kriss, if you want to talk about this or not, it's up to you. It's actually one of the things I wanted to ask you about before the interview, but it was something that really stood out to me. So if you feel comfortable talking about it, do you want to share with our audience that experience and why you didn't sign with Kanye West?
Yes. So it would not have been directly to Kanye West. What would have happened was there would have been 2 or 3 middlemen in between me and Kanye West. So it was like me, manager. I forgot to put me, manager, production company, subsidiary label of Def Jam, Kanye West was up here. And I was all the way down here. And every step, money was getting siphoned at every step of those points in the contract that I would have been signing. And I sent it to an entertainment lawyer. She advised me not to sign it. They wanted me to sign it as it was. They were expecting me to sign it as it was. They weren't expecting me to negotiate with them. They wanted me, because they had the leverage and I didn't. They wanted me to sign it just as it was. And when I came back and said, no, I'm not signing this, then they were like, well, contracts are meant to be negotiated. But I had dropped out of school.
Wow.
I'd missed my first week of school because they told me that, listen, this contract is going to be ready to sign. We need you to sign it. You're going to have to drop out of school. You're going to be traveling. So we need you to, as soon as, it's going to be signable when you get it. So just sign it when you get it. They delayed it. I had to drop out of school because of, I can't remember exactly what it was, if it was the financial aid or whatever it was. I had to drop my classes before I think all of that took effect. So I dropped out of school, was waiting outside of school for a week for them to send me the contract. They sent me the contract and I was like, what is this? It was not what we had talked about. Word of mouth. It was not what we had talked about, but all that mattered was what was on that paper. Whatever they said before that didn't matter. And so I took the time to read that paper, and it was not signable. Also, an entertainment lawyer agreed, and I decided to not negotiate. I quickly enrolled back into all my classes.
Good for you.
And decided that I did not want to go forward with that group of people. I felt a little iffy. A lot of times people in those positions will tell you that they're family, and they'll tell you that they want to treat you like family, but it's business. At the end of the day, it's business. And I did not feel comfortable ethically. I did not like the ethics. And so I decided to not go forward with that. But yes, so yes, Kanye West heard a beat, wanted to buy the beat from me, but in order to get to him, there were a lot of other people that I didn't want to have to go through. And so I decided to turn it down, and it was devastating, but it took me to a place that I'd never been with God, and I've been better for it ever since.
So you know what, Kriss? Well, 2 questions come to mind as I listen to you, because when I think about people getting started, how did you get discovered? How were you exposed to, what's the correct terminology to use? If we're not going to say signed to Kanye West, what would be the correct terminology?
Well, what it actually was I was offered a production deal by like the 2nd tier level, which was a subsidiary record label. They would have been giving me a production deal. And so I would have been a producer who was going to work with people like Kanye West or whoever was on Def Jam. Whoever would have been on Def Jam's roster, I would have hopefully, been working with them. That was what was supposed to happen. But Yeah.
Okay, so the other part of the question is, so how did you get discovered? Like, how did they hear about Kriss Liss?
So I got to start. Can I start a little bit back, some years back?
Absolutely.
Yes. So I started making beats when I was 12 years old. Learned the software. My dad gave me the software to make the beats, and I just picked it up and ran with it. Taught myself pretty much how to use the softwares, and started making beats. I ran across this website called SoundClick, and it's super it was super popular in the early 2000s and 2010s. But when I first got on there, it was like, I think maybe early 2000s, and I saw people uploading their beats on there, and so I decided to upload my beats on there. I was 12 years old, like, hey, somebody listen, and somebody heard my beats and wanted to buy a beat on there, sold it for $600. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I had just made I was 12 years old. I was like, I just made $600. And all I did was post a beat online. When I tell you that's my business acumen kicked in right there,
I know
that's when it happened. Just like that. I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is what I want to do. And so I started
at 12.
Yes. And so my mom always laughs when she remembers how I ran to her when I was 12 and said, I need a bank account. I need you to do this for PayPal. Cause I was a minor. She had to help me do everything. I was like, I need you to help me do a bank account. It had to be a joint bank account cause I wasn't old enough to have my own. She helped me set up the PayPal cause I had to use her social security number. Like I had to do all this stuff. She helped me set it up. And man, I just ran. So I started selling beats at 12 and I continued to sell beats all the way into college. By the time I got college age, I didn't really want to sell beats online using the platforms that I was using. I really wanted to break into the mainstream major label music industry and work with, the big artists that everybody hears on the radio. Why not? That's what I thought. And so I submitted my beats to a platform. I think I had to pay, it was like $200 a year to be on this platform called PMP, Producer Marketplace Worldwide. And they had, through their contacts, they had opportunities for producers like me to work with other major labels. And so I submitted myself on there. This was in college, and made a connection with the label in New York. And they bought a song from me, full song. I had written and produced the whole song. And they bought it from me for their artist. And they referred me to some people from in the Def Jam camp, in the Sony camp. So it was crazy. This time period in music was crazy. I just uploaded my songs online, made the connection, some dots crossed. It was all online. I sat here in my studio the whole time and did it, which is amazing. I didn't really have to, go out and do a lot of in-person networking, which is one of the most majestic things about the internet. But yeah, so I made the connection online and they contacted me, and that's how it happened.
So you are a producer and an artist.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which one is your favorite?
So I could talk about this too, because it is part of the story. Before I was offered that production deal, I did not want to be an artist. I was hell bent on being a music producer. All I wanted to do was produce for Beyonce and Rhianna. That was my dream. I just wanted to produce for them and be in the background. I never wanted to be in the foreground. But when I turned down that production deal, it sent me into a season with God that was so intense. Fasting. We called it, at the church I was going to at that time, it was called consecration. There was this season called consecration. And it just so happened, it happens around this time too, September, October in the fall. And we went into this season of consecration where we fast and we pray and we go deep with God. And I did that and came out of consecration with the belief that God was telling me that he had made me to be the artist. He actually didn't really make me to make music that didn't glorify him, or for artists who really weren't interested in glorifying him. He actually made me to be an artist specifically to give his name glory and praise. And I was having this revelation and I couldn't shake it. I was like, I was in my spirit. I was like, I don't want to do this. I never wanted to be out front. I never wanted to be the one singing on stage or talking in front of people. I didn't want to really do that, but I could not shake this feeling inside of me, the Holy Spirit pressing it upon me to be an artist and to represent him well myself. Yeah. Thank you.
As you do.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I am so not hip or cool, but I like that the word dope. I think she is so
Yeah.
dope.
Thank you.
I think that she is a lyrical genius. And like I listen to all genres of music, and gospel probably is my favorite.
Okay.
But like just how you put words together. So
Yeah.
that's part of the reason I like hip hop is the storytelling and just the
Yeah.
clever use of language and how
Yes.
you can put metaphors together. And so again, I heard some of your remixes like on IG, and I'm like,
Yes.
it's cold.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So that shares a lot about you, your story in
Yeah.
terms of you as a producer, you as an artist and songwriter, correct?
Yes. Yes.
We don't want to leave that out.
Yes.
And I'm interested in hearing more of your story and like where you go, because I believe that God does have a greater plan and purpose for you. And because of your integrity and because you do have ethics and you do have morals and values and you're not going to settle, we know sometimes it takes a little longer,
Yeah.
but when you get there, it'll be sustained
Yes.
and you don't have to compromise your values and who you are, and you get to do things your way.
Yeah. Agreed.
So I'm excited.
100%. Thank you.
Whew. So I want to get into self-acceptance. And so one of the pillars in my book that I focus on is self-acceptance. And I want to talk a little more about that. And what I typically do is just ask each guest to kind of take the pillar in whatever direction you want to go in. Ideally, I would like to talk about maybe the negative sides of it, like in what ways has it shaped you negatively? What ways has it shaped you positively? And then typically based on how you respond, I may ask other questions around self-acceptance. And so with that being said, I know it's like really broad, just kind of define for us, because I listened to one of your songs about self-acceptance. So in your own words, Kriss, what is self-acceptance?
Self-acceptance to me is being okay with the person that God has made you to be fully, inside and out. And I think that it's important. The God part is important.
Yes.
Because I think a large part of self-acceptance is having your identity formed and shaped by God.
I think that's good. And I like how you worded that. And do you feel like at this point in your life, and again, I don't give out anyone's age, I know you're a young lady, do you feel like you have that self-acceptance? That's the first part of the question. If you do you feel like it's something that can come and go? Like it's one of those things, typically I say like confidence. Like, do you always feel confident? Do you have self-acceptance? And if you do, is it always a constant, or do you feel like it comes and goes?
I like the way you ask that, because usually people would ask it as like a yes or no, like, yes, I accept myself, or no, I don't. I never hear that middle ground to where it wavers. I love that. But I'm 28. It's okay. It's okay. At the time of this recording, I'm 28 years old. June 9th is my birthday.
And your birthday?
June 9th.
June 9th. Okay.
Yes. And I think that all I can say is I am more accepting of myself than I've ever been. And self-acceptance has been difficult for me.
Okay.
So in perspective, I've been way on the zero end of self-acceptance, and I'm pushing it on up. And I don't think I'm where I want to be, but I'm so much better than where I was even last year.
I heard that.
That's what I can say. And it wavers. It does waver. I can wake up tomorrow and be like, what's wrong? I do not like myself. It does. It wavers. It does.
I don't like using absolutes.
Yeah.
You know, and I was careful about that, even in the book. Like when I talk about authenticity, you know, without reading the book, a lot of times you just hear the title and one could perceive that I'm saying that I'm authentic. And what I tell people is no, it was because I struggled with my authenticity and wanting to be the person I know God has created me to be. And because of that, you know, one time I think my husband said that typically your ministry is your burden. So like whatever a burden is for you, normally you're really passionate about that. And I think because I so desperately want to just be the person God created me to be and want to be accepted for that, I want everybody to have that freedom.
Mm.
And so when you talk about, self-acceptance, I like how you added the God factor to that.
Yeah.
And so I'm really inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And I, one thing, Kriss, is I think I said this in Daniel's interview as well. I think it's good when you can take a strong position and you can have a stance and you're like, okay, this is me and this is what I believe in. And I try to be inclusive because I believe sometimes as Christians, we exclude people who may be interested
I do agree.
learning about God, joining the church.
Certainly.
And so when I wrote the book, I didn't write a Christian book. Now I talk about God and I talk about my Christianity, but I was like careful not to put my views on other people because all are welcome, right? Even with the podcast, like all people are welcome.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm unapologetically Christian.
Yes.
With that being said, what advice would you give someone who is trying to find their identity, trying to accept who they are, but don't know Christ, don't believe in God?
Oh, okay. Let me take some time on this one.
And think about that, because I love what you said and I believe it.
Yeah.
But so part of the time when I'm asking questions is because I want you to help me as well. So like when I'm coaching, when I'm developing people, when I'm having these conversations, and I'm intentionally maybe not saying who you are created to be in God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what does that look like if I'm just on a professional level using my services, speaking to someone? What does that look and sound like from your perspective?
Okay. There are certain things about yourself that you cannot change.
Talk about it.
And those things, no matter who you are, no matter what you believe, if you want to live a life that has some modicum of happiness, of joy, the best thing to do is accept those things and figure out how to move with those in those avenues that who you are, the facets of who you are, accept those and move in ways that gel and coincide and parallel with who you are. There are things that now there we know that self-improvement is a thing. There's
absolutely
so many, right? So there are certain things that you can change.
Sure.
And carefully think about those things. Sometimes I think it's just peer pressure, but sometimes there are things that are actually changeable, things that make you a better person in society, because no matter what you believe, I hope that you would believe that you're put here to make society better, even if it's, non-religious. I think we should all have the goal to make a better society. So how can you be better for the society that you want to see and create is I think a good way to put it.
Oh, beautifully stated. And I just want to sit in that for a moment. I really hope our listeners are really gaining the wisdom and the knowledge that I'm getting from you right now, because I don't ever want to be the expert.
Me either, honestly.
I don't ever want to stop learning.
Yeah.
And so just, I really appreciate you just speaking from the heart and giving me, like, I'm asking genuinely, just really good sound wisdom.
Yeah.
And so when you think about self-acceptance, I know that you said that it's not a constant, that it comes and goes, but at this point in your life, you said you're good. How did you get there?
Therapy was one of the things. I'm not going to say that I did this on my own or did it alone without the help of other people. I think that it was also, for a long time in my life, I was very closed off to where I didn't really allow people into genuinely, like you were talking about, authentically letting people into my deepest, darkest fears and struggles. And so for a long time, I think that allowed me to be this shell of who I actually am and was. So as soon as I started finding safe people, not just anybody, but as soon as I was able to, and I did this purposefully, I didn't wait for it to happen to me. I had to purposefully find safe people and friends and family members who could help open me up. I blossomed a little bit. right?
Oh, so
And the therapist was one of those people. But man, I think having a community helps.
it does. And I think some of the key things you talked about is safe, being able to feel safe.
Yeah.
All of us are human. We all are subject to be vulnerable. And when we are, if someone either exploits us, takes advantage of us, or use what we're sharing against us, it
Yeah.
makes us shut down and not
Yes, it
want to share
does.
with others.
Yeah.
And so what I heard also was the intentionality.
Yeah.
So how did you seek out that community of people that you felt like you could trust and they were safe to be your authentic self with?
Yes. So of course I am a Christian, but that does not mean that I immediately found a group of Christians who I felt safe around, because I did not. I don't know how deep we're going to get into that, but for a long time, I struggled to find a group of Christians who I felt safe around. The closer I got to God, the more and more I hungered for accountability, and that intimacy with other people who were like-minded. And I just could not. I had so much trouble finding it. And so that I went to go look for it. One of the things I did was I started I live across the street from someone who is a part of a missionary ascending company who sends out missionaries.
Nice.
And he was showing me things I had never seen before in the faith. And so I started hanging out with him. They give classes. They have this. It's do you mind if I shout out
right ahead,
the organization?
please?
They are called and it's escaping me. I can't believe it's escaping me. I'm going to have to come back to it, but they have a training called the Jonathan training.
Okay.
And it helps you, it helps you gain the confidence to go out and share the gospel and touch people where they are. And it was a really good class. And I met so many like-minded people. And that was like one blossom. It was like I blossomed just a little bit under that, right?
Yeah.
Then I found a church, a different church home, and it was so refreshing, and I blossomed even more. And then I went to therapy and blossomed even more. It was just like step by step by step, I was just finding ways to realize who God had made me to be.
I see you. And I hear you. And one of the things that you did say is when you were in that church community and you were trying to find it, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
And you even said, like, I don't know how deep you want to get into that. So I enjoy these conversations. Like, when you think about terminology, I don't know if interview should be the correct term that I'm using, because for me, a lot of times it's a conversation. Like, I enjoy being able to interact with each guest. Yes. And so I would like to talk about that a little more. So why do you think, we talk about community and we talk about fitting into certain communities, and there are certain things you can't deny. Like if I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian everywhere I go. I don't turn that off depending on the environment, whether if it's work or social, whatever, I'm still that person. So for us, we're both believers, and we think about the church and that being part of our community. And this is just dialogue. Like, why do you think that there is such a struggle, either from past experience and maybe for some people present, to find that safe space to really be vulnerable and open up and share?
It's so funny because I think that it ties right into what we're talking about today, self-acceptance and authenticity. I think that there can be a culture in some churches that says that if you struggle, then there's something wrong with you. If you're supposed to not have any struggle, because people are, you're the head and not the tail, you're beneath and you're above and not below. There's all these different sayings, but the air of it is, if you're struggling, that means that you're not where you're supposed to be religiously, and it's very legalistic, because to struggle is to be human.
Yes.
And if you didn't struggle, that means you didn't need Jesus. So are you saying that you don't need the gospel? What are you saying? And I think that there was a little bit of that. And And I think because of that, people struggle to be authentic, right? Like when you walk in and you say, how you doing? What do you say? I'm blessed and highly favored, or, thank the Lord. And because not only do you not want to share, but but who wants to hear it? Like, because some people don't even want to really know. When people ask you how you're doing, do they really want to know how you're doing?
That is so true.
I think,
Excuse me.
yeah.
I think that's a perfect point that you bring up. And so my next question was going to be, do you think that we're doing better as the church as far as accepting people, allowing people to be human, which is to be human is to be flawed? Like, do you think that we're doing better?
I think that on a large scale, my experience is too limited to give a broad answer.
Okay.
But I will say that now I know that there are churches who do better. There are some who don't, and there are some who do.
I like that. Yeah, because it's kind of like, I think about, I'm much older than you. I have kids your age, a matter of fact. And so I do know how I was raised in church. And then I think we both know denominations are different. Like the type of denomination and beliefs, et cetera, et cetera. And so I love the foundation that I have, and that it gave me like the morals and values and like my love for people today. So I think we got it right in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And then I don't think we necessarily got it wrong in a lot of ways. I think we just didn't know.
Okay.
So
understandable.
I think, when you know better, you do better. And I think because we didn't know, we just did what maybe we were taught. And how generationally, we just continue to do that until somebody says pause.
Yeah. And I think
this doesn't work.
Yeah. And even in the Black community, we have such heavy traditions.
Yes.
And some of that is kind of it's birthed out of needing it. It's birthed out of needing that structure and needing that tradition to carry on and survive. Absolutely. So I definitely understand why there was that's what we know. So that's what we did. It was tradition.
But see, that's where I think the topic of self-acceptance is so important, is because when you say, you know what, this is who I am. Yeah. I'm not playing the game anymore. Like a lot of times with the term used in corporate America, we talk about playing the game.
Okay.
But I think as we're talking about, sometimes we feel like we're playing the game at church. Sometimes we feel like we're playing the game, like with that opportunity that you got.
Yes, I would have been playing the game.
You'd have been playing the game. And I think it takes a lot of courage, because we know rejection comes from that. You missed a whole opportunity by choosing you. Yeah. By knowing your worth, by saying, I hear what you offer. I know what this opportunity could mean, but you weren't caught up in a title or what that image of being connected to like this famous artist was. You chose your beliefs and what was most sacred to you. Yeah. And I so respect you for that.
Well, thank you.
And so I think we have to do that in our everyday lives. Yeah. Like when you choose you, because nobody's going to accept you until you accept you. So if I'm around here and I'm talking like negative about me, or I'm always putting myself down, people are only going to treat me the way I treat myself. Yeah. And so I'd rather for you to have audacity, Kriss. Like what I heard, and that was beautiful to me, than you to succumb and just be what other people want you to be. I love that for you at 28.
You, in your book, you said, if I listened to what everybody said about me or wanted me to be, I'd be schizophrenic. And I can't tell you how much I relate to that, because everybody has something to say. Everybody has something to say. And I was for so long, and still do, but to a far less extent now, take in what everybody said. I didn't have a filter. I didn't have a boop nope. I didn't have one of those boop nopes. I absorbed everything that was given to me and said to me. And it just broke me down, paralyzed me a lot of times, made me second guess everything I wanted to do, everything I did. And that has been a hard thing to break, because I still do it. But
because it still comes and goes.
It comes and goes. But there are certain things that I remember people saying to me that I just internalized and never should have. So many things. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, because we get kind of deep. And again, you can always be like, no, that's a little too personal. I don't want to share. But can you think of a specific example? And unfortunately, we remember the negative more than we remember the positive. Yeah. But what were one of those things maybe someone said to you that still kind of holds you today, although you don't believe it, like, it's a lie. But maybe what's something that was said to you, and maybe not the person's name, but the relationship, just so people can hear the impact that words have when we try to build people up, but essentially we're tearing them down. Or are you trying to build them up? I don't know.
Right. So I've struggled. One of my biggest struggles has been my weight for my entire life. I was a chubby kid and just never felt comfortable. And honestly, like I said, it ebbs and flows. Tomorrow I might wake up like I hate myself, like I hate my weight. What do I need to do? What do I need to not eat? Like I struggle with my weight still. It's better than it was though. But being in this industry, and the way that people expect you to look or want you to look to be successful or to go the farthest has haunted me. And I remember in church, there was a guy who he wasn't someone that I would say I didn't really know the guy, but it was in a church setting. And I was telling him about everything I had done and accomplished. I had already turned down the deal and I was doing my own thing and wanted to put out my own music at this point. I had decided to be an artist and step out of there, which was terrifying to me because I thought I was too fat to be an artist. Literally, that was one of the things I thought as I thought about being an artist. I'm like, I'm not an artist. I don't look like an artist. I can't be an artist. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not any of these things. And so I had finally put myself out there and said, you know what, God, I'm gonna trust you. Because I don't trust myself, but I trust you. And I was in church and I was telling a guy this, and he said, you know what, maybe you should just write songs because you don't look like Destiny's Child. Like, remember when Destiny's Child first came out and how they were thin and they had the look, they were skinny. He said, you need to be like Adele. She wrote for people first because she's overweight. She wrote for people.
Not really, but
that's what but that's what he said. You need to be like this Jill Scott. You remember Jill Scott? She was writing for people first before she came out. That's what you need to do because you're not skinny enough. That's basically what he told me in church.
Someone really said that to you.
Yes. And I held that for a while. Now I look back at it like, you know what? You were just mad because I was super accomplished and you weren't.
There you go.
But at this point, I can say that. But I held it for a while.
Right. Well, no, go ahead, Kriss.
That's all. What were you going to say?
Okay. So a couple of things as I'm listening to you. First of all, you did mention weight, I think in one of your songs that I was listening to. I thought of, and I remember looking at you like, but go ahead.
I was going to say, so I discovered the ketogenic diet. So around 2018, 2019, 2018, 2019, I'd lost about 30 pounds. I'd never been able to do that before. I tried a lot of stuff because I'd wanted to lose weight since I was a kid, but nothing ever worked like this. I've gained I had lost more than 30 pounds. I'd almost lost 50 pounds. So at that point in those videos, I was the thinnest I'd ever been. Since then, I've gained like 30 of those pounds back. And so even 2020 to 2021 and being 30 pounds heavier than I was is an acceptance. And it's new. But it's new. Like it's different because I don't know if it's because I'm a little bit older or what it is, or if it's just God working on me, but it's different. It wasn't like it was. I used to think that I was just ugly. I used to be this is like immediately before I lost the weight, my identity was so tied into my weight. And I think this is why as a Christian, I think having your identity tied into Christ is so important because everything else is going to fail you. And I don't know how else to tell I don't know how else to tell you that, but everything else is going to fail you. And so my identity was so tied into my weight that even if it wasn't true, if I woke up one morning and thought I thought I was too big, it would affect my whole day. And so it's different. It's God.
It is. I know that feeling.
Just changing me, I don't want to cry, but
no, you're making me emotional because this is why self-acceptance is so important. But like you said, God is tied into that because we will even fail ourselves. Like we'll listen to those lies. And so I am curious, you know, when I think about you always struggling with your weight.
Always.
I heard you talk about your mom and you and your mom have a relationship and you and your dad. Talk a little more about your upbringing. Like what type of environment were you in terms of like, were they really encouraging of you? Like, let's talk about that a little more because from my vantage view, because my parents didn't raise me.
Okay.
And some of the things that when I would see like a 2-parent home, or even maybe just like whether if it's the mother or the father, I thought maybe they were raised differently. So maybe it was some things I missed out on. Okay. And so I'm always curious when I see people that seems like they come from a pretty decent background, 2-parent home. Just share a little more like in terms of affirmation and how they raised you. What was that like?
So I have a wonderful relationship with my mom. She is like my best friend. And I'm still, so I live in a house with all of my people. Okay. It's my mom, my dad, and my younger brother. And he's an adult too, but we have our own little separate spaces like the studio. And my mom is super encouraging, super supportive. The reason I'm able to be here today with any of the knowledge and talent that I have is largely because of her support of me. Okay. And she has never made me feel anything less than beautiful, for sure. I think I've struggled with my relationship with my dad though. And honestly, that stemmed, and I hate to, it is what it is, that their relationship isn't the best. Okay. And so I think that a lot of the insecurities that I have may actually stem from the struggles that I've seen them go through. Okay. And how I've tied myself as a woman into my mom as a woman and what I've seen her struggle with in her relationship, you know? And so I think that some of my insecurity could come from what I've seen there, because that's the only thing I've had to aspire to, you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
And so even though she's given me as much as she could, I've still seen some things that, I mean, out of her control for a lot, not all, but for a lot of it, sometimes out of her control, things she didn't choose, things she didn't go into a marriage wanting, but ended up with. And I've seen and internalized and tried and have struggled to fight, honestly. Sorry.
No, you're good. We can pause. Like we both got drinks, water. For those. We both have H2O. Let's pause. It gets like super deep when you start getting into people's stories. But if you're like me, Kriss, I do this because I believe that we're really helping people. Yeah. I believe that through our stories, when people know they're not alone, like you're not the only person who feels this way. Right. See, we see you, we see this beautiful, gifted, amazing young lady. Until you open your mouth and you start sharing some of these things. Yes. People can look at you and think, oh, this person have a great life. They got it all together. And I know how I get hope from other people and their stories. And it's not that you want anybody to do bad. Right. Because on my worst day, like whatever that feeling is, I would never want my worst enemy to ever feel that way. So it's not that you want to hear people's stories because, oh, so I'm not the only one in pain. Know that we can strengthen each other. That we can encourage each other, that we can inspire each other. And so if this amazing young lady, you know, she feels this way and she's still working through her pain, then there's hope for me. And so I do just want to thank you for being so vulnerable and just so transparent, you know, about the things that you've gone through with self-acceptance. And so
thank you. Thank you for making this a safe space.
Yeah. And you know, the only thing that I struggle with is because this is so safe. Like, you know, right now, it's just you and I. Yeah. Like at some point, there's going to be
others.
Right. And so when I'm with people, like, that's one of the things I'll say. it's like, I want to create a safe space for you. And largely because it's true. But like when I was in corporate America and I would do like coaching and one-on-ones, it was true.
Yeah.
In that moment with just me and that individual, we are just saying like, this is safe and they can open up and share. But we're going to open this up to the public, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So at that point, it's kind of out of my control. And
Yes.
so for me, like I really want to hear these authentic people share these real stories. But there's a part of me that's very protective because I'm like, I don't want anyone to ever try to misuse it or try to exploit you with it.
Yeah.
But that's why, you know, as you stated so eloquently, is that when you're speaking, you just trust God.
Yeah. And
people are going to do what they want to do, right?
And I still want to be, yes. And I want to be a good steward. And I want to listen to what the Holy Spirit is, how he's guiding me and leading me. Yeah. So there are things that I might not share, but anything that I say on here is okay. It's okay. Cause like just like you said, somebody can hear it. Somebody can hear it and it could really be what they need to hear.
Absolutely.
So anything that comes out of my mouth that I've said can be shared.
Thank you.
But yeah.
No, that's good. Go ahead. Were you going to say something else?
So my mom was super loving, but when you hear your dad call your mom fat, that effect, I don't think he realized what that does to me, you know, because it's even though it's not happening to me, it's being taught to me, you know what I'm saying? And so those things, they are super shaping and molding. So it has affected my view of men, even and my relationship with men and how I view men in general and how I think they view me. I've almost I think I've put up guards specifically around men because of the men in my life, not just my dad. I don't want to just bash him like he's like the only one, but other men too. I haven't had that many good male influences in my life. And so those things are super shaping, and it has taken the Lord to reverse some things and seeing some good men of God like Daniel.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yes.
But man, it was childhood is so shaping, and that is why therapy is so important. Like, even if I'm sorry, go ahead. Even if I was just going to say, even if it's your friends, just talking to your friends, just start out with that.
No, I'm actually glad that you said that. And so recently I listened to a program that one of my aunts had recommended. It was called Speak Sis. It was on the OWN network.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's
awesome. It was
awesome.
like a panelist of like educators, doctors, therapists, celebrities. And one of the things that I thought was really powerful is one of the therapists said, instead of asking people what is wrong with you, ask people what happened to you. And that's something I've always lived by, because I always say, nobody really mourns or grieves for the child that really is going through that traumatic experience, because they don't even know that they went through that. But we do judge the adult.
Yeah.
So we become these broken humans as adults, but nobody really knows our story of how we became this way in the first place. And I think that's why I like hearing people's story, because I'm more interested in not your behavior, not your actions, or not even if someone is accomplished or not. I'm more interested in, how did you become you?
Yes.
And I think what you've done today is really talked about the power of other people's opinion, how we treat one another. All of that shapes us. So let me ask you something. People tell you look like your mom.
Yes.
That's part of it, right? So if you look like your mom.
I never made that connection.
Yeah, but you talk about it.
Wow.
Girl, I like talking. So you gotta shut me up. But I thought about that as you were talking, that if your dad is calling your mom fat, and if you are also being told you look like your mom, automatically that equates to you like, oh, I'm
spitting
fat.
Image.
So like, talk about that a little more.
And you know, I think my mom is beautiful.
I'm sure, because you are.
Thank you. But I think, and that's why I think I say specifically men,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because it's almost like I will protect my mom to the death. Like you better watch what
Mm.
you better watch what you say about
Yeah.
my mama, because it ain't gonna fly. You will see me turn gangster Christian real quick if you talk about my mama. And I think, like I said, I think it created a complex with me and men, because that criticism came from a man. It was like, oh,
Uh-huh.
its own, like,
Yeah.
it's like I think it shaped the way that I view men and the way that I think they view me
Mm.
wrong. I think that it's created this. I don't even know what to call it, because I think for a while it was hatred, maybe a little bit of fear,
Okay.
even before my mom, my grandmother, and her dynamic, and
Mm-hmm.
because there was a lot of abuse there, and how she was treated, and there were so many things that I think shaped me there. But yes, I do look exactly like like my mom. Every time we're side by side, there's no like mistake. Like, oh, that's your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Okay.
that's got to be her. Like
You
I wish I
think
could
she's
show a
absolutely
picture. Like,
beautiful, don't? I'm sure you think she's absolutely beautiful, don't
yeah, I do. Yeah, and I think that I take it as a compliment
you? Mm-hmm.
in my adulthood. I take it as a compliment to be to for when people say you look like your mom. Uh, because I think she's beautiful. And you know what? I think I'm beautiful too.
Yes,
And
you are.
that's taken me a long time
Yeah.
to
We
think
talked
that.
about self-acceptance.
Right.
So, Kriss, how are you on time? Like, I glance because again, I'm just enjoying the conversation so
Yeah,
much.
I feel like we didn't even get to dive like I wanted to dive. I'm okay, but I know that you might have things that you got to do, but I'm okay if you want
I'm
to
good. Like, I
keep
try
going.
to never schedule like back-to-back
Yeah.
interviews. That happened to me, I think, last week. But
Yeah.
thankfully, like the person I was interviewing, it didn't feel rushed. Like we were able to get through it. But I like to respect your time as well.
Yeah.
But there's some of the feedback I get. So like conversations that we're having that gets like really deep and it's just like flowing.
Yeah.
People feel like they're a part of it.
Yeah.
And then B, like they're like, you cut it too short. I wish you would have cut off the interview. And
Yeah.
what I have to tell them though, like sometimes you're on people's, like you're in your lunch hour.
Mm-hmm.
You're a busy lady. You got a lot on your schedule, on your plate. And so out of your schedule, I have to be
Yeah.
respectful and sometimes cut it short.
I
But if you
understand.
got a few more minutes, we do want to kind of continue to unravel
Yeah.
self-acceptance. So I have heard maybe some of the negative things.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about like your journey of self-acceptance, and I know you talked about intentionally seeking out communities and being able to be around people that
Yeah.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, a matter of fact. So as I'm asking this question, what is it about being around people who make you feel safe and who you can
Mm.
trust that helps you to accept yourself
Oh
and brings the best
man.
out of you?
I think that when you sit by yourself, it's dark,
Mm-hmm.
and you really cannot clearly see what's going on when you're by yourself, when you're in your head and in your own thoughts. You can't see, not
Mm-hmm.
clearly. You can't see the whole picture. And so being able to get around people you trust and just speak the words out loud does something.
Okay.
Because first of all, it forces you to say it out loud so
Yes.
you can hear yourself. Because have you ever said something and then as you were saying it, you were like, wait, like, I don't even, like, that doesn't even sound right coming out. Like something happens when you're able to speak the words out loud to somebody else.
Yes.
And then to have them affirm you back to you
Yes.
after you reveal something that you've never revealed before, it busts something open inside of you.
Mm.
It cracks something. Use all the words. It cracks.
Use it.
It demolishes.
Yes.
It does something inside of you that just keeps breaking. This might be too spiritual, but strongholds. Like
strongholds.
you start to crack the cement around things that were building, that were keeping you in a shell and keeping you tucked in.
Mm.
Having that back to you, that stuff spoken back to you is therapeutic.
It is.
And you can't do it by yourself. You can't do it by
Bible
yourself.
even talks about like building each other up.
Yeah.
Like, and fathers, don't provoke your children. Like we talk about that, but we don't always live it out. And so like a couple of things that I heard from you is, even when you were talking about like your upbringing, it's not just about what's said to you, because you said your mother was affirming. She was encouraging.
But and it's not even that my dad said anything. And not just, he didn't say anything bad to me, but it didn't matter.
Exactly. And, but it's like, when I was raised, it was, don't do as I do, do as I say. And so I'm kind of using this as a similarity in the sense of, you're telling me I'm beautiful and you look just like me, but because this person has tried to convince you for whatever reasons, because I'm sure he has his own healing he has to go through.
Of course.
And he got his own brokenness.
Yes.
We always
for certain
people hurt people.
Yes.
So he probably knows how beautiful she is, and was so scared that if everybody else knew, like maybe his words had power to build her up or turn her down. Yeah. Sometimes people don't want you to know how great you are, how pretty you are, how smart you are.
Agreed.
You might lose them. You might leave them.
And believe me, my mom is all of that.
I know that's right.
Yes. For sure.
So depending on how secure he is or he was, maybe it was hard for him to really tell her how amazing she was, and that he would lose her.
Agreed.
100, and I'm not justifying behavior, but I just feel like we got to care for people. And even sometimes caring for people is through distance. That's true. I don't believe abusive relationships. I don't believe in, being around unhealthy people who makes you, feel bad about yourself, but we can still seek understanding of why people do what they do. And so when you think about, self-acceptance in your own life, like now that you've accomplished a lot, and despite with that person, I got another word for him, to be honest. That person, I said those things. First of all, unbelievable.
I know, right?
Like, I can't even imagine speaking to someone like that. But it's like, I don't know what it is in a person. I know what it is, because spiritual warfare is real.
Yeah, I agree.
And I believe that, evil can enter in any one of us. And I think you said it best when you said maybe he was jealous because you're accomplished and he's not.
Because right after he said that, he proceeded to ask me for help and advice. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, but like you said, those things still kind of stay with you, even though this person may not even have the authority or influence on you that maybe someone more significant would have. But we do have power in the tongue, and we can either build people up or we can tear them down. 100%. And so one of the last questions I do want to ask before we do get ready to wrap up is, if you knew someone similar to you, that may not always have positive self-image or saw their self like how God sees them, and they're struggling, like what advice or encouragement would you give someone struggling with self-acceptance? Yeah.
So practical. My practical advice would be to do what I didn't do, which is create a filter and realize that everybody is not for you. And everybody's opinion does not matter. It does not. I'm here to tell you, it does not. I don't know how I can't say it any harder. It does not matter. It does. I gotta say it one more time. It does not matter. Create a filter. Yeah. Create it. And when I say, just to make sure I'm explaining that, when somebody says something to you, let it process it. Process it. Don't let it stick there. And you have to, I think you need to actually, like I said, use this word again, intentionally do this, because if you don't, it'll stay back there and you won't even know it's back there working and turning and getting you to do things and operate differently. I think you have to, in your head, even while they're saying it, be like, that's a lie. like even while they're saying it. Also, and if you really want to build up that filter, I'm saying it again, the word of God is the best filter there is. That's how you build your filter up, really, because I believe that's the truth. And so if you want to combat a lie with the truth, you got to know the word. And I'll say that's probably another reason why it's different this time around, is because I got more word in me this time around. So you can't just say anything to me at this right now. you can't just say anything to me because the Holy Spirit in me is like, now you know that's a lie because you read
That's
it.
right.
Like,
That's
so it's
right.
like now I'm quicker. But you got to do it. You got to build up that word inside of you. And even for people who aren't Christians, build up the affirmations inside of you for who you are and who you know to be, and the things that you need to accept about yourself, so that when somebody or something, whatever, a commercial, a TV show, a movie, whatever it is, a text, a social media post on the Explore page on Instagram, like whatever it is, when you feel that dissonance, because you feel the tension when something goes against who you are, you feel it inside of you. Capture that feeling and filter it and process it and say and get off the app also, like turn it off if you can, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But process, work on. I think it's all about being able to process what's coming into you and not letting it fester and not letting it sit. And my best advice would be to let the word be your filter.
Yes. You know, as you were speaking, I was thinking, she's such a bad girl. Like, you are all of that. So this is how smooth you are, and this is how smart you are. You heard me in the beginning saying I like to speak to all people, that I'm Christian, that I will honor God, I will never denounce God, and I want all people to feel included, and I want all people to be encouraged. You're so cold. Like, you made sure you like unapologetically, I am speaking to Christians, I am telling you. And then also those of you who may not be believers, I'm speaking to you too. Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
So to end things on a light or a high note, however you want to look at it, I like to have my little serious question that's really never serious. But okay, so what is your happy place? I'm not going to talk about desserts, although I might, because I think that Daniel, he said cheesecake, because that's my husband's favorite dessert also. But if you couldn't like travel somewhere or go to like your favorite place, when Kriss likes to just unwind, relax, put a smile on your face, what is your happy place?
So if like you said, if it was like a travel thing, it would definitely be somewhere by the ocean. I love the sand, the warm sand in the ocean. That is my vibe. Just being on the beach, watching the ocean waves roll in and out. That is awesome. But when that's not possible, which is usually, I think that making music is my happy place.
Nice.
And it took me a while to get back to that place. We didn't even get into this, but we'll have to do this again.
Talk about it if you can. If you got time, talk about it now.
There was a point in time where God was shaping me and molding me, and it had a lot to do with self-acceptance. I remember I do not like to perform, which is crazy, right? Because I think God is calling me to be an artist, but I do not like to perform. I don't even think I'm particularly good at it, just being honest. But I got on stage, bombed, tanked a performance, just tanked it. And then this other girl got on stage, killed it. And I love her. I don't want to mention her name just for the sake of keeping everything discreet and private, but she killed it and I love her. But I compared myself to her, which was a grave mistake because we're not the same anyway. We're just not the same. But I compared myself to her, and it just took me, it just sent me somewhere that took me a long time to get out of. And I just started to allow negative thoughts about myself determine my actions. I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I can't do this. Why, God, would you ever do? It sent me to a place, and I'm glad I knew God because it sent me to him though. Even though it sent me to a place that was dark, he was there with me still. I was asking him questions. Why, God, would you have me do this? Wow. You knew that I just wanted to be in the background. If you were going to have me do this, why didn't you acquit me? If you were going to have me be on stage, why can't I do this? I was questioning, and it sent me to this place where I didn't do music. I didn't want to do music. I think it was maybe 20. I can't remember. It was like 20. It was during the time, like maybe 2016, 2017, where I was like, I'm done. I didn't do music. I didn't write any, I didn't do it. Didn't want to work. Had you
already produced and like released your songs, the one that we talked about?
Yep. So Glowry was my debut single. It was the first song I put out as an artist myself. That was in 2015. So it's been a while since I put the official like single out. I just put the music video out recently, but the actual single came out in about around 2015. And after I put that single out, it was that single that I went to perform and tanked it, just bombed it.
Oh,
And it sent me to this, just a dark place where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I quit for I quit for a cold year. I was like, I'm not doing any of this. And music it's crazy because before that, music was an idol for me. My career, what I thought I wanted, all of that was an idol in my heart. I loved it a little too much. I did. Not saying that you can't love what you do, you should. But the way that I felt about music, it was tied too much into my identity. And so when it failed me, like everything always does, I went right back into a place of who am I? Who am I supposed to be? Because it don't seem like this. I don't think this is it. And so I quit for a year. And for the whole year, I proceeded to ask God, who am I? Who am I supposed to be? And that's around the time when I started going to Team Expansion is the name of the organization that does
you got it.
Missionary work. They do missionary work. Yes. And they have a training called the Jonathan training.
Okay.
And that's a small course in a bigger course called the D course. I think D means discipleship.
Okay.
But it's a D course. And the company is called Team Expansion. That's when I started doing the course with Team Expansion. And I started trying to evangelize my neighborhood. I live in the West End of Louisville, Kentucky, which is an area, in my opinion, that needs Jesus. We all need Jesus, but I have a heart for my area. Yeah. And I want to show Jesus to the area. And I started going out in the area and with Team Expansion and evangelizing, and it changed my perspective of Jesus and what I am here for and what I'm meant to do. And so my identity was no longer tied in to music. It was tied into giving God glory in whatever form he decided that I was supposed to give him glory. And it's so crazy because my love for music came back, but it came back under his umbrella. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't, my identity wasn't in the music. My identity is in Christ. And so the music is just a tool. And now I can say, once again, that music is my happy place.
Yes.
And it took a minute. Excuse me.
We just have this moment. We just gonna have this moment, Kriss. We all needed to hear that. This interview was not supposed to wrap up without you saying that you got your happy place. Oh my goodness.
Even in saying that, I have to say, even in what I just said, it's really that God is my happy place, right? And that it's he's allowing me these gifts to flow and to flourish and find joy in these gifts that he's given me.
I like it.
Music is a happy place. Yeah.
You're giving people so much to think about, to chew on. Like, you're so relatable. So many people are going to draw strength and encouragement from this interview because, like, as you're speaking, I know you're speaking to me. And so I know if you're speaking to me, other people, like, your story is going to resonate with them because we get it. And when I think about, and the reason why I say happy place is I do believe that God wants us to have joy and to have more abundantly. And I think a lot of times,
100%.
especially as Christians, we don't really want to focus on it. And I intentionally use the word happy. And people have to stay away from it, happy. I think
versus like happy versus joy.
Yes. They're like happy. Happiness is based on what's happening. So you kind of want joy but intentionally, people I love, and even if I don't know you personally, I want you to be happy. I want you to do all the things that you're passionate about. I want you to make a contribution to society. I want you to have joy. And I want you to know the Lord, and I want you to be happy doing it. And I understand that every day won't be unicorns and rainbows, and, and that's okay. But I think it's also okay that if you have certain things that bring you joy or happiness, even if it's just a small moment that you can escape, because life is hard. Like, it's deep. It's a lot that goes on in a person's life. And so, yes, I like that music and God puts a smile on your face.
Yeah.
So as we
and the beach when I can get there.
So we're becoming, like, we're always becoming, I say, who we're created to be. Like, I don't think I'll ever reach that person, but I'll never stop striving.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that's what makes us, I don't know. When I think about us as humans, I don't think we will ever get it right. Like, I think with our best efforts, we're going to still fail people. We're going to still make mistakes. But I think what matters is that we try. We try to do better. We try to become, whatever's in our heart that we believe that we should be, or we should pursue the things that we believe that the Holy Spirit is revealing for us to do. And I think that's when we do ourselves a disservice. If the lies stop us, when our fears stop us. But I believe as long as you're taking the risk and you believe in yourself, because we're talking about self-acceptance, and you see you as beautiful, and you see you as smart and as gifted, and because that's how God sees you. He created you in his image, a matter of fact. So who are you not to think that you're pretty awesome?
Yeah.
Doesn't make you arrogant. Doesn't make you a narcissist. If anything, I admire your confidence.
Yeah.
All right, lady. So do you have any closing remarks before I let you go, finally?
Well, I will say for the music is my happy place. And to add to that, I do a live stream every Friday night at 9:30 p.m. where I showcase my happy place with everybody else. So in the live stream, I'm in my studio just like this, and I make music, and it's pretty awesome. People like it.
And what time is it on Fridays?
9:30 p.m. Eastern time on Fridays. And I live stream it live to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. And if you need those links, you can find those on holybay.com. I have it listed. Okay. There's a banner at the top of holybay.com where you can tap it and get this info.
You believe in yourself, don't you?
Finally.
You believe in yourself. Don't let nothing or no one stop you. Keep being the person God has created you to be, and keep leading out of authenticity. Thank you for tuning in to Pillar Talk with Rochelle. Authentic people, real stories. Rochelle Armstrong, leading authentically.